Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host here, Chantele Francis, here with my lovely co-host. Today we have
Michelle Nash. Hello.
Michelle Nash. How are you?
Feeling steamy today. Apparently, I don't know.
I'm like freezing. I don't know if my heat's not working or what, but like it's like cold in here. I was like, snowed. Do you have snow on?
Oh, there was snow last night, but honestly, I didn't notice. I fell asleep on my couch and woke up to all these people on Instagram being like, the snow, and I'm like, oh, damn it, missed that snow, I guess.
Well, it stayed. So there's like an inch and a half of snow on like my deck, which I'm like,
Ooh.
But if this is your first time on Reality Realness, well then welcome. We are all about reality TV and all the gossip. Hopefully there is some gossip today that goes along with it. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe right down over there. We are on our way to 1,000 subscribers and we need you to help us get there. So join us, subscribe, all that jazz. But today we're going to talk about a couple things. We're going to talk about Road Rules Season 1, Episode 4, 5, and 6. Nostalgia at its finest, and I'm obsessed with it. And then maybe we're going to dabble a little bit into maybe any rumor mills that are going on about Season 36 of The Challenge that has finished recording. So taking us back to Road Rules Season 1, this Episode 4, I thought the beginning of it, the music is so classic. Like, I don't remember exactly what it was. It was just like, it was all like, like some like 80s, 90s band. Like, did you recognize this music? Or
I didn't recognize it, but I was like, this is such a mood right now. It's just, it really paints the whole picture of what time. This is a period piece, honestly.
Stop. Some of the, did you know Blaine that you said that you had messaged you with you, one of our chatters?
Yes.
He was like, I wasn't even born yet. I'm like, dang.
Stop, Blaine, stop.
So funny. Actually, it makes sense though. Like my goddaughter was born in, I think it was 96. So yeah, it makes sense that like in 95, people might not have been born that watch these shows. It's kind of crazy.
You know, there's people born after the year 2000. I didn't know. I thought it just stopped at 2000.
Well, actually, I know that people are just because I have two younger sisters. So one's born in 2000 and one's born in 2004. But what I can't conceptualize that an adult human being can be born in the 2000s. It doesn't actually compute.
Exactly. Oh my God.
They get a job at to go to the Clybert's farm. It's in Hammonds, Louisiana. And basically they drive up and it's I don't want to say crazy, but a little sketchy, we'll say, guy with an alligator farm.
Yeah, he's a character.
Yes.
Who has an alligator farm, first of all? Like, this is getting into some, like, Tiger King shit right now. Like, I was like, what? Like, how is he taking care of these alligators? Is it safe? He's, like, jumping in the water, like, getting bit all the time. Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess alligators aren't going extinct or anything, so I guess it's less bad. I don't know.
I just didn't even really know that it's a thing. Like, I know everything's a thing just because, but I just don't even think of it as like, oh, like people breed alligators and there are alligator farms. It's just not something that it's on my, vacation list to go and check out. Have you done anything like this before?
No. And I'm not interested, to be honest.
I know. You don't want to throw like a rat at an alligator and watch it eat it?
Ooh, yeah, like maybe not.
So they had to kind of break up. So Mark and Kit ended up having to work at a drugstore of some sort. And then the other three, so Allison was giving like a tour guide, but it's like the tour guide of this alligator farm, but she doesn't really have any of this information. And then we have Shelly and Los. They're actually doing kind of like the hard work. We'll say like they're feeding the alligators and they were packing away the alligator meat. Have you eaten alligator meat before?
I have not. I have not eaten alligator meat, and I feel like it'd be really tough.
Yeah, it seems like it would be like leathery.
Ew. Yeah.
Have you eaten anything that's questionable?
I've had moose burgers in Newfoundland.
I've probably had moose before.
It was good. Honestly, I can't even say anything specific. It was kind of rabbity, kind of beefy.
I mean, I don't eat meat anymore, really. If I was on one of these shows, I would eat it for sure. But I just don't like the gamey flavor. I know some people love the gaminess of it. It actually kind of grosses me out a bit. So I'm just wondering what the gamey flavor of alligator meat would be. I think that would gross me out.
Me too. Me too.
But yeah, and like they're talking about the smell. I'm just like, what does it smell like? Like, I want to know.
Yeah, I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
So, like, I had to like call out the classic fashions of Mark with his like black, like dressy shoe ankle booties, and shorts with like a plaid shirt tied around his waist. Classic grunge look. Where are you living?
I literally his looks, and then with that hair too. It's just like, what are you trying to say?
I mean, it's so the time though. Like it was, I believe it was when Nirvana was super big. Like that grunge look was where it was at. Like everybody in high school dressed like that. We'd like we had like a little park across the street from our school, and we called it High Park because it was like where everybody smoked weed, like a mini High Park. And so like the guys would just be wearing the plaid shirts, and we were in art school, so like they're all like, everybody's like sitting playing like guitar and smoking weed, and like everybody's long hair. Actually, I'll tell you a story. So Scott Speedman, do you know who that is?
No.
Scott Speedman, he was like in Underworld, like that.
I saw him. I probably.
Anyways, he's kind of he was on Felicity. Did you watch Felicity?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So he went to our high school, and like I thought he was so cute. So around this time, actually, because when I was in grade 9, he was in OAC that existed at the time, so grade 13.
Grade 13.
And so he was like the hottest guy. Like everybody loved Scott Speedman. He was so hot. And so he had long hair, and like, he was just dating this girl, Lisa Polinoski, and she was just so beautiful. She had beautiful long hair, and like I was just obsessed with this like golden couple at the school. So I remember I was outside, and when you hear like rumors in school, and you're like, what? And so apparently Scott Speedman and Lisa Polinoski were shaving their head in the cafeteria. So we all like ran to the cafeteria to find Scott Speedman. And I took a picture. I used to always carry around a wind-up camera, like a disposal camera. Like that was like my jam. I was the camera girl all the time. I have at my mom's somewhere pictures of when like Scott Speedman shaved his head. Anyways, and I'm sure he was wearing a plaid shirt around his waist because it was that time. It was 1995.
Yeah.
It's so nostalgic. And so when my best friend Anna worked with him on Barney's version, I wanted him to show him these pictures. But she's like, she didn't do it. But like at a cast dinner or whatever, I wanted to be like, show him this. But it's kind of like 30 years ago, a little bit more, 25.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's my 1995 story when like grunge was in.
So is this the part? So Kit and Mark I thought they were serving ice cream.
Yeah, so it was supposed to be at a drugstore. So it's called like the People's Rexall, I think it was.
Okay.
So, I mean, the Rexall, I'm working at the People's Rexall. And so Rexall that we know it here is like pure drugstore, but maybe the People's Rexall has like a little bit of an eatery or like a little bit more casual stuff, but maybe in the back is like prescriptions. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay.
So I think it's a drugstore that also sells ice cream.
So random, but I'm into it.
I was totally into it. They thought that they were getting the short end of the stick here, but like they won out for sure because go ahead.
I was going to say, not only did they get to serve ice cream and eat a bunch of ice cream, but they got to have this whole day of flirting and falling in love. Well, falling in lust, falling in attraction, whatever it is.
Falling in, enjoying hanging out with somebody, and it's fun to watch. like, you know, I say all the time that what I love about reality TV is seeing these people in these random situations with random people that they would never meet in their regular life, and they would never meet. They would like, if you look at her boyfriend, that is very, very different from Mark. You know,
like that was the craziest thing, is like meeting her boyfriend after. It's like, okay, first of all, I'll say when I saw them flirting, I was super into it. I was messaging you being like, oh my God, they're so cute, whatever. Then I find out, oh, she has a boyfriend, and oh, also he maybe has a girlfriend, but he never really mentions that. So then like cut to like meeting her boyfriend. I felt like, yeah, he's like a totally opposite of Mark, quiet and academic and, you know, accountant type dude who's like totally doesn't seem like her jam at all. It's very confusing as to why they're dating. So then I didn't really feel so bad. Like, I'm like, whatever. And like, she has to tell him where we left off. It's like, she has to tell him that she did that she kissed, that he kissed her or whatever. This is story goes. But I'm kind of like, good riddance.
Yeah, I mean, because I see, regardless of whether or not they're going to work out in the end, they just have good vibes. Like, they just enjoy each other's company. They enjoy hanging out, and it makes sense for them to be in some sort of relationship, because that's the type of relationship I would want with a partner, is someone that like I can joke around with, have fun, and then like still make out. And so it seems like a good match. And compared to her actual boyfriend, it's just kind of like, how does that work? Because
exactly, it was confusing and strange, and yeah, you can tell she's like in that moment where she's like, uh-oh.
So still at the farm, though, we have Carlos and Shelley. They didn't even talk while they're working. I don't know how I'm feeling about Carlos. Like, I want to like him, and then he's just kind of so closed and like self-righteous in a way, and like he doesn't even realize how he's comes across, or like cares really to maybe be I don't know. What do you think about Carlos at this point?
I agree with you that he's very closed off. He's not really open to vulnerability for sure, or any change. That said, like, he has some redeeming moments where it looks like they had some moments in the truck trailer where it seems like they're having fun together, like all of them kind of, which was kind of nice to see. Like, and you know, he seems to be like, oh, it's fine as long as me and Shelley aren't talking. And it's like, Shelley is able to be the kind of fierce ass queen who's like, I'm going to do the job now. And I called him out and he's not willing to acknowledge. So I'm just going to do my work. And she's not being catty. She's not being weird. And it's kind of forcing him to just also have to kind of just do the work as well. And it's kind of nice because it's like, she's not being that typical, what you might see on a reality show girl who's just being like, like trying to always have drama. She's just like, whatever. This guy is like, you know, he can't take the rejection, and now he's being weird towards me. And honestly, I'm just over it. Like, she's so mature, and she's like the youngest one, but I find her, oh, Blaine, hey.
How are you? Hey, I finally made an episode. Yes, you did. We actually just talked about you. We were saying that that you had mentioned that you weren't even born when this season came out, and so we thought that was quite funny.
Funny, depressing, all of it, you know.
Blaine, have you watched this recently? Do you have any tea about the old school stuff that went down? Let us know. It's funny though that you mentioned Mark's hair. Like, I wrote like, oh my God, I love this Kit and Mark romance. Mark's hair. We're totally like on the same point about what we.
Yeah, literally.
They're so good. So they get a clue. So there was a clue on the jukebox, and would you have found that clue?
No.
Right? I mean, someone must have.
No, I mean, honestly, I'm bad. Like, I wouldn't be looking for clues. So,
but like, yes, you would be though.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, okay, I don't think I would go out and look for an idol on Survivor, because it just seems like it's just like I'm not finding this idol. Like, it just doesn't seem possible, you know?
You'll find it if the producers want you to find it.
Well, that's true too. I wish that the idols, okay, so this is a completely aside comment right now, but like, I wish with the idols that it was always clue based. because I like the fact that people have to do things and like figure things out to get the idol. I don't like rummaging around in tree stumps to find an idol. Like, I don't think that that's good game strategy. You know what I mean?
Yes. I 100% agree with you. When it's clue-based, it's also much more satisfying when you actually find it.
Exactly. Or like, even when it's like, oh, it's going to be at the challenge, you're going to have to like do some sneaky footwork, whatever, to try to get it. Like, okay, like that's hard. And like, you'd have to choose whether you're going to try for that or not. But just rummaging around in the forest, like, I don't find it compelling. And I don't find it as a good game move that like you were able to find a needle in a haystack. Like, it's just kind of like,
I agree.
What Blaine had to say. Blaine said this season bored me, to be honest, so I kind of skimmed through it. Fair.
You know, that's fair. You were born after 95 and, you know, attention spans have changed. No, I'm just kidding. But honestly, it is less dramatic. It's not what we're used to. So it can come across that way. I personally like the change of pace of like just like camaraderie and like some drama. But I see where you're coming from, Blaine, that it's not that high stakes feeling that we get when we watch the challenge nowadays.
Well, and for me, though, too, like what I really like about the pace of it is that it's pure. It's not contrived. It's not producer heavy-handed. It's not like oh, let's create a storyline. It's not D being like, oh, like I have a beef with this person now, so I'll be invited back to the show so we can have a rival season. Like, it's just none of that extra amount of you know, forcedness on what's going on. We're actually just seeing genuine connections, genuine relationships form in an unusual circumstance. And that's what drew me to reality TV in general, is seeing these natural connections in abnormal circumstances. That's why I like being an actor, is because you know, you have to have real moments in like imaginary circumstances. Like, I like seeing those connections.
Yes.
So I find that when it's producer heavy-handed, yes, I can enjoy it, but it's more fake to me. And I like seeing the sparks and the nuances of real. Like, I find that's what's most fascinating. So granted, like, I definitely can be entertained by, you know, the challenge and, you know, other reality shows that are more high stakes drama, that are more producer like contrived. But if I started watching those nowadays, I don't think I would have been hooked or invested in these shows. What do you think? Do you think if you just like started watching the challenge today that you would be like, oh my God, this is the best show ever?
I mean, I've shown couple people, friends over the past few years who hadn't seen it before, and they do get invested, but it's a different level of investment for sure. Having the history, like, you're going to be more connected to it. That's just how life is. And it definitely, I think I would still probably enjoy it, but I wouldn't necessarily be as committed to it as I am.
And you'd probably be one of those people that are like, oh my God, Polly is so good for the drama.
Ugh, I don't want to imagine that, but maybe.
Blaine also says Road Rules doesn't get dramatic until season 10, where they start voting people off. Absolutely. I mean, this is also the evolution of competitive reality TV. Like, before, we were just watching people doing things together and seeing how they interact. And then, you know, it started to develop like, oh, we can like raise the stakes. We can heighten things by throwing in a more competitive element. And then, you know, we're seeing the evolution of the challenge. And so I also like that this is the inception stage. Like, it's so cool to me.
Mm-hmm. It's really cool. And like, that's where the stakes become high. It's like, oh, my time here might be cut short. Okay, I'm going to start as much shit as I can now. Where it's like they all have this whole trip. So they're just trying to like have the longevity, right? So now there's that conflict when you're on a reality show of like, am I going to play the long game? Like Big Brother, Survivor, Challenge, make it to the end and like have this whole thing where people see my whole personality. But I could get screwed over quickly. So I need to show myself now in a big way so that I like make an impact, so that I get invited back and all that jazz.
But I definitely think it's like how the producers shifted from Road Rules to the challenge. I think that is also a really fascinating journey. And like, I'm wondering if we should maybe, because you know, you listen to Rob Has a Podcast a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So they do an evolution of strategy for, I believe it's for Survivor. I wonder if we should do something similar for the evolution of the challenge, and maybe we can talk about, because like we can just, like, if you're up for it, just go through all these old seasons and just like see how they've actually evolved and grown.
Oh yeah, because there's been so much change. Like even how we watched the duel before, like the strategy behind that, it has changed so much over time. Like there's so much, yeah, the evolution is pretty crazy.
So, okay, let's keep that in our thoughts right now, because like there's no real strategy yet. But when we get to, so maybe we can zip through and we can do like 5 episodes at a time. So we can do like a season in like 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
But like, so we can get to when they start doing, when strategy comes into play, and then we can like start maybe talking about how strategy of the challenge began. That'd be so fun.
Ooh.
Thank you. I feel like you helped us come across with that, because I think I really want to explain to some people that are always like, oh, like I don't like the fighting and the drama. I'm like, and I understand that, but it's part of the evolution of the game. And so I think that it'll be more fascinating for me, especially not being that happy with how it's going right now, just to watch how it's evolved. And like, it'll make me feel, satisfied in watching it, because I'd be like, okay, but I can see like this is how it came, anyways. So I'm down into that. I think you're into it too.
I'm down.
Some of the Real World seasons are now on CBS All Access. Yes, go do your homework, Blaine.
Yes, you must do your homework. That said, like, I don't really watch Real World anymore. I have seen every season of it. Maybe not some of the early, but I've seen most of them. And I was obsessed, mainly, though, because me and Tanya would be like, okay, who's going to be cast on the next season of the challenge? Like, we cared about the Real World for the challenge, and I appreciated the drama. But, like, I think of flashbacks to, like, Leroy and Nani living in the same house and, like, all this stuff. Like, it was great, but I think having it's more for history and more for like character development. Honestly, like the reality TV genre has expanded so immensely that it's really a mind fuck. And yeah, so you got to do your history, you got to do your homework. You'll have so much more thoughts. So many more thoughts.
It was especially because like I obviously as well watched all the Real Worlds, and I definitely was like, who is going to be on the challenge? Like, oh my God, like, you know what I mean? I was always excited to see that as well. And so I think that also with the argument, with the Pauly being like so great, whatever. I think I was talking to you about this, about the girl that was saying that like, oh, Pauly is such good TV or whatever. I think though, also though, why I can't really feed into that is because these people, I've had a history with them on their previous seasons even. And so it's not just them having one show that they're on here blowing up things and making fights. Like, I know what they're like. I've known part of their history. I know like some of their family life or their past relationships. Like, I know a little bit more about them. So I'm invested in their story. I'm not invested in Pauly's story.
No, and also our history of Pauly is him being on Big Brother and not being okay mentally. Like, we saw him just become completely unhinged in not a safe way, in a really uncomfortable way. And then we saw him get on the challenge and be what he is on the challenge. Like, we haven't seen any growth, and we haven't seen, give me a transformation. That's why we love CT. He was he was in a troubled place. And we saw him go through this whole evolution. And that's why we always have to love him, even though now he's, whatever he is.
The person you saw was Austin. So that was with
Danny and Melinda.
I like that season. Oh, he gets punched by Wes in that one. Is it? Who punched? No, they were in a fight outside, the bar brawl.
Yeah.
I think I saw the clip with you recently, but there was a brawl outside and like Danny got punched and then he had like that huge welt.
Yes. Wait, Wes was on that season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that, but the details are hazy for me. But anyway.
Yeah, that's a good season.
It's a good season to start. And that's pretty old, so that's pretty good.
Like Wes was still young and cute, like you like him when you're like heavily crushing on Wes at the time.
I not as much. It kind of grew like on the challenge a bit more. On the real world, yeah, like I wanted him to like, you know, he was trying to court Johanna. Like I liked all of that, but I really came through for him in the duel.
Aww. So
what a romantic story. I just said what a romantic story.
So romantic.
Anyway.
Mark finds it on the jukebox, A1, and the clue basically says start driving to New Orleans tonight so you can start learning about the first man of jazz. Would you have known who the first man of jazz was? I know you were a singer. Me neither. Like I was in a stage band, jazz group, like jazz band, sorry.
Yeah, I'm really bad with trivia in general and facts, which is a huge problem for me as like to be a teammate in one of these games. It's like I'm not great with trivia unless it was challenge related trivia. Then I would like boom, boom. Like I'd own that. But or maybe the Survivor, I'd be decent, but like, do
you know what? I'm having all these ideas. What's happening right now? I was like, maybe we should have like a mini quiz at the end of these things, like just like with some old school trivia, just to like bring up some points, you know?
That'd be fun.
Because obviously I love trivia and so do you, especially challenge related or like just games. So like maybe we can a little game, like let's stump you. I'll stump you and you stump me or something like that.
Ooh, okay, I can do that. Yeah.
Old school trivia, like a couple questions at the end of each little chit chat.
Perfect. Let's do it.
Done. Okay, we're just like building content here. Just like
content. This is an empire, and it's happening.
It's happening. So they go on this drive, and they end up meeting this cabbie kind of on like the corner. And I didn't really remember this episode fully, but I just wasn't sure if he was actually someone that they're supposed to talk to or not. How did you feel about this guy?
I was so confused for like the first chunk, and then they drive him around, and I'm like, this has to be part of a plan. They wouldn't have the cameras. Like I was like, it has to be. But then I was like, is he just trying to like fuck with them and make them pay him a bunch of money? But then and then he like brings them to the graveyard, and I'm just like, what is happening? So yeah, I was definitely confused. But then as it went on, I was like, hey, like there's no way they would allow this random man.
Right. And like
for this long, like unless the producers knew.
So they had to go to Bourbon and Ponte. They couldn't find, they basically could not find the first man of jazz. They were kind of just going around asking people. Nobody really knew. And then he takes them to a seance house. How would you have felt going into this part of the challenge?
I would have been fine. Honestly, I really liked how a lot of them committed to it, and then some of them just did not. Like Shelly was just like, yeah, I'm going to embrace it. Like, I'm just such a Shelly fan. To be so young and then to be so open to different ways of living, because her way of living is probably different from a lot of people. And it's just like, I don't know, it's really refreshing. And she doesn't like, isn't all about herself and all about drama. She's like experiencing the moments. So I think I would have liked it.
Yeah, I think I would have loved it.
Of course you would have loved it.
I like the ghosts and spirituality, and I'm just intrigued by the veil, like lifting the veil of the unknown and unseen, because I do feel that we all are capable of tapping into that. Choose not to, coming into the physical body. So I find it really interesting. I think it was quite innovative of MTV in the early 90s to be taking people to be doing something like this, because I don't even think that they would do that now. I feel like that would be something that would be maybe more off topic or off limit.
Yeah, I don't think they would do that kind of stuff now. I feel like what's interesting about this first season is it's all an experiment. They don't have anything to gauge it on or anything to compare it to. So they're just trying a bunch of random stuff. Alligator farms, random man in a cabbie taking you around, going to a seance, then driving over to a graveyard and being like, you could spend the night at this graveyard.
Right.
In sleeping bags in the cold. And then like I really liked that. So I don't know if I'm skipping a moment.
This is all muddled up, but
it's all muddled. But like, so they tell them to go to this graveyard of the first man Jazz, who already is dead, and like spend the night and like whatever. Something they were hoping something was gonna happen. Shelly was like, I don't feel comfortable doing this. Like, I think it's disrespectful to spend the night at someone's grave. Like, I thought that was really cool too. Like sticking to her morals and whatever she decides. Like, I thought that was cool too. Also, like, who wants to spend the night in a graveyard? I'm sorry, but like, no. So they spend the night, nothing happens. Like, it's just. And then what ends up happening after that?
So I think that's in episode 5 that happened. No, 6. Whatever. But before we got there, though, and actually before the seance and all that stuff, they all go out on Bourbon Street. And so they're drinking and they're having a good time. And, you know, everything's flowing and Kit's being Kit and Mark's being Mark. And episode ending. And the version that we're watching, it has like a property mark right in the middle of it. So at the end of the episode, we see kind of like 2 heads coming together, but it's right behind that sign. And I was like, did they kiss?
They definitely kissed. I could see it. They kissed. They obviously kissed, because if they hadn't, then she goes to the girl and says like, oh, this happened. And then he goes and is like, oh, this happened. But they both said that the other person did it. So it's like.
But it was at the end of the episode. So that was the cliffhanger there. I was like, but it was a good moment. I thought how he did it was cute. And like, it wasn't like aggressive, or like, it just was like a cute little kiss moment, you know?
Yeah. And so what's interesting is he keeps saying, you know, oh, she's saying like, oh, I like him. We're good friends. Like, he's my best friend here. La, la, la. She's obviously trying to like, you know?
Yeah.
And then he's just like, yeah, like, it's inevitable. We're going to hook up.
Right.
I was like, ugh. But then I'm like, whatever. He's not actively forcing himself on her in any kind of way. He's taking his time. He's getting to know her. And he's like, yeah, inevitably, like, we have this connection. Like, something's probably going to happen. But he's not being like a gross guy about it. So like, I kind of came around to it a little bit. Like, I'm like, he still should be more respectful than that, to be like, you know, she has a boyfriend. But I mean, they're getting to know each other, and she's, you know, she seems to be enjoying their time. So.
I can't talk. Astrologically, they are a good match. So Mark is a Gemini, so that's an air sign, and Kit obviously is a Leo, and so that's air and fire. Air and fire are probably, other than air or fire, like, are very good combination. If you think about when you want to rise a hot air balloon, you put some hot air and it rises. And so they're elements that work well together.
Oh, I never knew that. That's really interesting.
How, whenever I'm looking at like how the signs work, I just think about how they work in the real world. So, you know, air and earth don't really work that well together. I think it's like hurricanes is like air and earth, like tornadoes. Like, it's like they don't really work.
But would you say fire and fire is bad because it's too much?
No, well, sometimes it could be, but they understand how to work together. You know what I mean? So it could grow to be a really big fire, but elementally they don't put each other out or whatever. Like, they help each other grow. They work very well together. But if you think of, say, water, so, you know, Pisces, Cancer, or Scorpio, if you put that with, say, fire, what happens when you put water onto fire? Okay, the fire goes out. What happens if you boil water? It bubbles, it boils, you know what I mean? Like, or heat up water.
And what about air and water?
Air and water, I think, well, I consider that a cyclone. Like, what is that when the water, like, it just, they don't necessarily work that well together. Obviously, any signs can be fine. But if you just think about it naturally, like, it's just not necessarily the best combination. But like, say, water and earth work pretty well together. Like, not that you want mud, but like they elementally, they mix. It's not like oil and water.
Yeah.
Kind of work well together, and then they can harden and they can become like kind of more of a unit. You know what I mean? So
I never thought about it that way. That's really interesting. I'm now thinking about all these different combinations of relationships.
I know. Well, that's why I'm always like, water and me don't really go that well together, because like, it's just like gonna make a hurricane or a tornado, whatever what is the, I don't know what the difference of all these natural disasters.
So you're Aquarius, right? Which is air.
Correct.
Right, okay. And I'm fire, Sag. We make a great combo.
Oh, final two.
Final two.
But no, absolutely. You end up being able to speak a similar language. You know what I mean? Like we can figure things out. And that might be, remember you're talking about like Leilani and you, when you were working in your online reality game, like you didn't necessarily communicate well because I think she's water, she's Cancer.
I think she is Cancer.
Is like you guys could be fine for friends, but you might not be able to communicate in that sort of way as well because she would like you might make her mad or like she might put out your idea. You know what I mean? Like you just might not flow all the time.
Right. Okay, great. That's why we have so many ideas together because you're like, let's air this up, and I'm like, let's spread this around.
It's like. Way. So yeah, and like air, like obviously too, it like you need like when you start a fire, like you're like, so you know what I mean. So like I help you ignite, right?
That's so interesting because I've always had a thing against Geminis. One of my sisters is Gemini. And I'm like, ugh, Geminis. But now I'm starting to see someone who's a Gemini, and I'm like, they're an air. Actually, maybe this is good. Maybe this isn't going to be a problem. Maybe this is actually going to fuel my drive, you know?
Well, and I mean, obviously there's people in every sign that you're not going to get along with, and they have like tons of other things in their astrological makeup that could be conflicting with other things in yours.
Right.
But if you're just looking elementally at their sun sign, you can know that you would get along better with a Gemini over a Scorpio. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, you know that you'd be able to figure out how to work together or speak the same language or get on the same page a lot more easily than the other way around.
Yeah.
Anybody that has ever done me wrong in these online reality games, they've all been friggin' female Taurus.
No way!
Done with them.
How do you know? Do you ask all their birthdays?
No. Well, this I did some cyber stalking.
Okay. I'm obsessed with that, first of all. Second of all, one of my close friends, Tanya, is a Taurus, actually, but her moon and rising are Sag. So me and her emotionally have a lot in common in that way. That's so interesting. They've all been Taurus. They're just like, I'm stubborn, I'm sticking to this, and no.
Right? But I didn't know. Well, one girl I knew. Well, now I'm just knowing because like I'm learning, obviously, as I'm playing more of these online reality games, that what I am compatible with and the type of people that I end up working well with. And it just usually so happens that it's the signs that I get along with, I usually last longer with. You know what I mean? Or don't stab me in the back, or don't do something that I wasn't expecting. And so yeah, the two girls in the most recent orgs that I've played that have stabbed me in the back have been both Taurus. And I was surprised by it, but now I'm just gonna be like, I'm not gonna be surprised no more. You don't get my loyalty card, Taurus, no more.
Obsessed. Anyways, back to Road Rules.
Where are we?
Tangent over.
So episode 5 happens, and I was like, that's when we learned that they both have partners, and I was just kind of surprised, but it just didn't seem as like, for Mark's especially, that it was like his fiance or something. Like it seems like it was a girl who was dating, like, hey babe, like I'm gonna go away for like 2 months, like, so whatever happens. Like that's like, it feels like it's just like a chill.
Exactly. And he's 23, like he's not in a real relationship.
You know, ready for marriage, because isn't that like the going age for like the men on The Bachelor?
Right? Oh, God.
/ you should be watching this season because it is a mess.
I've been watching clips, and I think I might watch this week just because of what's going to be happening this week. It's of course it's a mess. Honestly, it would be too cringy. Like, I love a little cringe, but the Bachelor franchise is just too cringy for me in general. Like, I used to watch it, I kind of stopped, but the clips I'm seeing and the memes I'm reading are just so ridiculous. I think I need to stop. I think I need to get into it.
This season, like, as much as like I understand where you're coming from, but it's so cringy that it's like shocking. Like someone was watching it and I'd already seen the episode and they're like, oh my God, so cringe. I'm like, where are you at? And he's like, blah, 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 blah. And he's telling me where he was in the episode. I'm like, oh my God, that's like the least cringiest thing that happens this episode. Like, oh, that's the least cringe. Like, oh, that's not cringy at all. It gets more cringy, like more cringy. Like it was honestly like, oh, like the whole time I was like, oh, Claire. Oh,
like they needed to replace her. Like literally, it was a need. It's like from what I'm reading, it's not just like, oh, she's actually just in love with Dale. It's like, no, like everything about this is so horrific that we're gonna let the train wreck happen a little bit, and then we're gonna be like, okay, here's something fresh, because we cannot. This is not sustainable.
No. Well, and even Chris Harrison says like the road that we're going on right now doesn't end well. And that's what he says in the preview. So, okay, I would advise you then to watch last week's episode.
Okay.
Last week's episode, and then if you want to come in and talk on Friday, I don't know what your schedule is this week, but talk about it. I would love to chat about it with you because it's a trip.
It's a trip.
It is a trip. Blaine says, did you see the Challenge Mania podcast? He did an episode with Casey.
Oh, no. She just got engaged, I think I saw.
I can't remember. I saw her face flash on something, but I can't remember.
She was on one of I actually this morning, I think, saw her on one of the Challenge T pages because she got engaged to somebody. What a journey, Casey. Casey was like, everyone hates, like, she just got like shit on by Wes in a gazillion exiles and kind of proved herself a little bit, but also like ultimately was not really that strong. But I didn't mind Casey.
Her crying was kind of annoying.
Yeah, she was a little hot messish, but like since then, I think we've seen so many more hot messes that she doesn't seem as messy.
Not as messy at all. What am I writing here? Okay, so that's one thing though about the psychic though. Sorry, back to Road Rules.
Yes.
Is she calls out Carlos. I was like,
oh my God, what did she say? She's like, there's something. What did she say? Something about how he's closed off or something.
Closed off and that like doesn't let people in, or basically what we've been saying about him. And I was like, wow, the spirits are calling out Carlos.
I wasn't sure if that was the producers or if it was her just. It was
producers have that much foresight in understanding like human behavior and psychology to be like, can you please mention something about, like, I just don't think.
Yeah, you're right. That would be, yeah, you're right. You're totally right.
I don't think they're that smart. These are like 25-year-olds that are like in the editing booth in the 90s. You know what I mean? I just don't think, I mean, I could be wrong. No judgment. Anybody at any age can be super intelligent. But I just don't know if they would put their hand in that one.
Agreed.
So yeah, I was like, man, Carla's getting called out by the spirits. Like, that's crazy. But I loved the fact that they did do it. And because it did get him thinking. It was the first time that anybody has said anything to him, that even though he was completely pushing it away and being like, I'm not going to like indulge in what she has to say, I could see that his wheels were turning a little bit. It was the first time that I thought that he was having a little bit of self-reflection there. Did you notice that too?
Yes, I did definitely notice that. He didn't freak out. He did kind of have a bit of a moment. So I did like that.
So their cabbie waited for them. Apparently that's when their taxi was $150. And when I was like, okay, they're not going to make these kids that just, worked at the alligator farm for like $50 pay $150 for a taxi. Like, I'm sure that MTV's footing the bill here.
Yeah.
And actually that's another thing I just wanted to ask you though. Before, when they all did their tasks, so the alligator farm and the Rexall, they kind of kept their money separate. Like, do you think that that's a better idea for them? Like,
yeah, I definitely think it is. I think that it was frustrating because Carlos was so intense about keeping the money the first time, and then suddenly he's like, no one else is allowed. So that was a little bit hypocritical. That said, I would want the money that I made. And I agree. Okay, if you're going to buy things to share, you make that decision. Oh, I spent this. This is the exact amount I spent on this, so you owe me this. But otherwise, fend for your fucking selves. You're not there for too long. And if someone runs out of money, they run out of money and they can fucking starve, or that you can buy them like a Mr. Noodles. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I get it because like the hotels and stuff. And it's like, okay, so you don't stay in the hotel, then you stay in the trailer. You don't have the money, fine, or whatever. Like,
but like, would you actually be able to do that? No, probably not. Like,
no, but it's better than like Carlos buying a takeout for himself and everyone else is eating beans. Like, you know, I think that I would want to have control over the money that I made. Personally, I would. But that said, I wouldn't want to disrupt the peace. So if everyone else wanted to split it, I would split it. But my first choice would be to have my own money that I made.
Yeah, I think the money that I made working at those places, I'd be like, I'm not putting that into the pool, but I will contribute if we go to the grocery store.
Yes.
But from MTV directly. And I think that it's maybe everybody has like a little allowance, and then there's like the fund of like, you know, the communal fund maybe would be a better way to kind of deal with that. Because like, I think having your own money, like, it just makes you feel like, okay, I'm in control of my own fate here. Like, I don't need to have everything be a group decision. But then having a little bit of a kitty being like, okay, we're buying food, we're doing this together. This is the money that we have to spend on food. Let's talk about this collectively. But then you also have your own $20, $50, whatever, to make, you know, if you want to go and have takeout that one night, you can. That's your decision. You know, that's I think how I would probably try to
Agreed.
do the combo. So do you know ghost stories? Because like I would probably have told some ghost stories in that cemetery.
I'm not anything that I can think of offhand, but I used to tell ghost stories a lot at recess in school when I was like in elementary school.
I used to tell them at sleepovers. We used to like do Ouija board and like tell.
I did Ouija board, but people would always get freaked out and all of that. But I did like Ouija board. I had a phase for sure when I was like 14.
Did you also have a phase of light as a feather, stiff as a board?
Oh, of course.
I still think we should try that again because people did like race, like they did.
I think it's just collective strength if you have enough people around. I don't know.
It's still
cool.
It's still really cool.
Yeah.
My mom was taking a psychic development kind of class.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a long time, probably around this time, like around 95. And what they were doing, they sat in a circle and all of them had to envision having, I think it was a mango appear in the middle of the circle. And so they all had to keep on envisioning it and like trying to make it manifest into nothing. And she said she saw this mango there in real life for like 1 second, but then I think that disbelief of all the other people just like kind of crashed down the creation of the mango manifesting out of thin air. But I think that we have a lot of power with our minds that we don't really know fully what to do with, and that because we are so fixated on the 3-dimensional and the tangible world and the science of it all, that our disbelief actually prevents us from seeing what we can create out of nothing and manifest. But she said that it was kind of scary because she saw the mango for a second and then it just shattered, basically. Not shattered, but like, you know what I mean? Just like, it's gone.
Wow. No, I agree with you. Disbelief. And that's in anything. Think about it. Like, you have to have belief and drive in yourself to be able to succeed. And when you have those beliefs, you can manifest a lot of things. So why can't that apply to everything? Right? Like, it's like, I stop myself a lot of times because I think, oh, that's not possible for me to be able to do that.
Exactly.
And, you know, you just think it's out of your realm of possibility, but that's just because you've never experienced it yet. So
that's what I'm also thinking with the light of us as a feather, stiff as a board, is that, you know, it's the belief that you can do it will help that manifest. And so people that think that it's not possible is probably why it doesn't always work, we'll say. So it's and I should try that again. Blaine, did you guys do that in school? Light as a feather, stiff as a board, where you lifted up people. Everybody goes around a person laying down on the ground and you lift them up and each putting 2 fingers underneath the body.
Or did you already have iPhones? Just kidding.
I mean, I did. I got what, 2007, 6, 7, 8? Like,
Well, I kind of finished doing. Oh no, okay, 2005, 6. For me, I remember like at school. Anyway.
What was the first iPhone created?
iPhone was published June 29th,
2007, like I was a full-fledged adult like when the iPhone came out. There was barely internet in 1995, so yeah, they probably did something a little more interesting than Light of the Feather, Stiff as a Board. Did you do crisscross applesauce, spiders crawling up your back, one here, one there, spiders crawling in your hair, cool breeze. Now
I loved all of that shit.
Pardon?
I loved all those things.
Me too. We're such weird children, but it's because we didn't have anything to distract us.
Anything to do. Or like crack an egg on your head and the yolk runs down and the yolk runs down and the yolk.
People are dying.
People are dying. Children are crying or whatever. Anyways, oh my God, we're so.
Next verse. Okay, so it's cracking egg on the egg is the first one. What's the second verse?
Oh, girl, come on. You expect me to remember how much weed I've smoked in the past 10 years? I'm not going to remember.
In an apartment building, your parents are all dead, and you jump.
Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah!
Oh, my God. Blaine did that in middle school. Yes, okay. Yes, thank you, Blaine, for at least not saying that we are so dated like this season of the Road Rules. Okay, what else happened here? So they tell ghost stories about the serial killer joke. Ha, ha, ha. And how did Mark lodge the guitar and the shovel in the he like that was like so impossible. So I think he threw the shovel to try to get the guitar that had the clue, and then he like it just basically the guitar goes and like gets stuck in the branch of the tree. Another car, the shovel.
Oh yeah.
Impossible to do, but like obviously like that happens. But if you wanted to make that happen, like make the shovel get lodged in the tree branch, there's no way that you'd have been able to do
There's
it.
no way, no.
So I wrote at this point, I'm like, I love that Road Rules makes people step out of their comfort zones and say yes. I do.
I do.
They get a clue. They get down that guitar, and they have to go to Pace, Florida. And Ron the cabbie said that they didn't have to pay. So there you go. Producers were like, you don't need to pay for this one. No big deal. So they get on that payphone, and that's when payphones are probably 25 cents because like now they are 50 cents. You remember when payphones went up to 50 cents?
I don't. I stopped using payphones when it went up to 50 cents. I remember it being 25 cents and needing to have 25 cents when I left the movies so that I could call my mom to come pick me up at the movie theater.
Okay, so I was a very, very resourceful child. And to save my money, I would make a collect call. And while it was dialing and seeing if the person would accept, I'd be like, Mom, I'm at the corner, blah, 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 pick me up right now. I'm ready. I'm waiting for you. And so she would hear that message of me talking, and then I'd just hang up and wait for my mom. So I would just not pay the quarter and make the collect call.
Genius. That is genius.
Yeah, that's definitely what I used to do. I saved that quarter.
A resourceful queen from the get-go. Like
always.
Here she is.
I'm a problem solver, right?
Yes.
I was like, well, I don't want to waste my quarter when like I can make a collect call and have her come for free. So
obsessed.
So I mean, I'm 15. Like, what are they gonna do? Like, oh my God, you didn't pay your quarter? Come on.
Yeah, come on.
That was my scam. So the clue was that Mark gets, so he gets on the payphone and they wanted to know what Pace, Florida was. And so he asks, I guess, the directory or the operator, and he comes back and tells them it's Let's Get Naked. And they're going to a nudist colony. And I forgot about this episode completely. I thought that he was just lying and being like, yeah, we're going to a nudist colony.
Me too.
I didn't think it was a real thing until we got there. How would you have felt about this portion of
I mean, I think depending on age, if I was only 20, I'd probably feel really nervous. Nowadays, I probably wouldn't care. That said, the people that are there are interesting for sure. That man sitting in the hot tub for like hours while they decide whether they're going to go in there to get his clue because he's holding it in a plastic bag near his dick.
I saw.
That was strange. But then he ended up just giving it to them. Like, they, just so everyone knows, they didn't have to go near his dick to get it. Like, that's where it was. But eventually he did give it to them once they got in the water. But that was weird that he's just like there chilling for hours. He's probably really pruny. But yeah, 3 of them ended up committing to do it, right? It was Mark, Kit, and what's the other girl's name?
Allison.
Allison ended up doing it. Allison does have moments where she's willing to kind of do anything. With the seance, she was like, nope. But when it comes to like other things, she is a little more open to like just kind of going with it and trying something new.
I did think it was funny when Mark, he jumped into the pool and then she stole his towel.
Yes, that was great.
I mean, obviously you're just like, why are you stealing the towel? But like, it was funny to me in that moment, especially because it's Mark. And you know that Mark is just so easygoing, especially at this age, that like, I like his carefree, youthful, like, he's just good vibes.
Oh, totally.
I like Mark a lot. It's also, he's a Gemini. We like Gemini, so.
Now I like Geminis. I've come around.
Well, you know who's Gemini? Like, Nick is also a Gemini, who you'd probably be able to do some, like, if you're working with him on something, game-wise, you'd probably be able to work well together.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't worked together well before. We've never worked together, period. So
well, now you know that you.
Love you, Nick.
But JoJo is a Taurus.
Ooh, we gotta be weary.
No, he hasn't done me dirty, but watching it, JoJo.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were at this nudist colony. They eventually get the clue. We did Los and. What did Los and Shelley? They just didn't want to do it. What happened with that?
Yeah, they weren't comfortable doing it. They stayed back, I think. They ended up just sleeping in the trailer, I think.
Is that what happened? I don't remember.
They weren't really in this part of the episode.
True. I think that though that the other 3 are more fun. I do agree with you. I really like Shelley and like her just like sticking to whatever her boundaries are and like and not making it into anything self-righteous. I do like how she's just very comfortable in standing in her own 2 feet. And so like I respect the fact that they both didn't do that, even though I did write that like I love that Road Rules makes people push their boundaries. But I also like people recognizing where theirs is and saying, no, I don't want to do that. 2 episodes ago on The Bachelorette, it's a big like thing because, did I tell you this already? So Claire makes the guys play strip dodgeball.
Oh, I read about that. Yeah.
I mean, okay, yeah, if it was reversed, like it wouldn't be blah, blah, blah. But my mom was even telling me that they've done this type of thing before on Juan Pablo's season. They had the women get naked and do a naked photo shoot or something like that. Like she's like, they do that. They make women get naked all the time. And it's not. No.
And don't you remember in last season and Peter's season where they had to do like pillow fights in a ring together wearing lingerie that they didn't get to choose what kind of lingerie? Like that's just as degrading. Like, come on. I don't know. I thought it was equally as degrading as it always is, but this time it was against men.
Exactly. And it's like, oh, like how, like get out of here. Like women are always being put into showing off their body and putting them in these compromising positions of like for the male gaze. You know what I mean? And so it's not the same when people are like, if it was reversed, I'm like, well, if it was reversed, it wouldn't be going down like that for sure. But like men never have to go through being objectified ever. So one time they had to like do strip dodgeball and like they can still choose to do it or not do it. They do not have to say yes. So anyways, just saying like so annoyed with like that argument. It's just like, let men be objectified a little bit. Like it happens to us all the time.
Exactly. Especially when you're in the Bachelor franchise. I mean, you fucking signed up for this show.
Exactly. You know that they make you do stupid things that are like embarrassing and like, like what the show is all about. So what thing I wrote down, like the guy that gets at the nudist colony is like, there's nothing to be ashamed of. We're all born this way. I was just like, we weren't born looking like you though. Like, this is different.
Yeah.
People at nudist colonies or like at Hedonism 3 or like these like sex like group sex resorts or whatever, they're never the people that you want to be seeing there.
No.
Ever. Like I could probably get behind going to a nudist colony, but like until the people are just never cute or like I don't really need to see you naked.
Yeah, like it's not something that I'm like seeking actively. I think it's great for those people who want to do that and want to be free and be around other people who are free. And that's totally awesome. And I like being naked sometimes if I want to be, but I don't feel the need to be around them if I don't, it's like my body's for me too. And I'm going to choose like when I want to free it to people or when I want people to see it,
And I come to this, I'm just like, maybe I don't feel like, well, okay, I took life drawing in high school, and that was enough for me to know that like I don't necessarily need to go to a nudist colony because like you'd have to draw all these naked bodies, and they're never just like, like the Greek god body. It's like very interesting shapes and hair and like bumps and you know what I mean. And so I got my fix of having to stare at like people in very weird positions naked drawing them in life drawing class. Have you ever taken life drawing?
No.
It's actually
drawing do not mix. I do not draw.
Have you drawing with charcoal though in life drawing was actually quite fun.
Oh, like I'm not opposed to it. I failed art in 8th grade and since then have never really been interested. It takes a lot of focus and I'm not a natural at it. It's just not my art. That said, like sometimes I'll paint just for fun if I'm just like having a time, but it's never like I'm painting a thing. I'm just like painting strokes. You know what I mean? So I love that people can draw. I just can't.
I know. I'm so jealous of people that can draw. Because like the art school that I went to, people were there for art and you could see like they draw things like, what, how do you draw? Like, how can you draw that? I definitely was taught how to draw. So I understand light and shadow. And so making something 3-dimensional, I understand that. And I understand like depth perception and stuff like that, but I don't have the gift. And so I would be able to make things look good, but it was very, very calculated. It's like, okay, like I have to draw the line like this if I want it to look like it's coming towards me and like, you know what I mean? And then shadow it like this. So it was very paint by numbers for me when I was learning. Mm-hmm. But with light drawing, it's with charcoal. And so it just like ends up just being about like shape and shadow, which they all looked really good. Like, if you ever wanted like an ego boost, like draw somebody really not cute, like drawing that's naked, and it's like, oh my god, like my body's great, and using charcoal or Conte to draw on like big boards like that, like it's kind of free and it just like it looks very professional. I framed them all, and like I look like I'll give it to you for 10,000.
Obsessed. I'm into it.
Wait, so Blaine was saying, I guess it's about Casey. So, Blaine went to rewatch your Duel 2. We're going to get to that, Blaine. But, I mean, as long as Michelle's on this journey with me, I think that what we're going to do is continue this nostalgic look back down memory lane. And when we get to Duel 2, it'll probably be like in a year. But, like, we're not, I don't think we should do that. Yeah, I think that I like the idea of really going all the way through Road Rules. I
mean, I haven't seen Duel 2 recently, but it was a season I definitely watched more than once. It's iconic. I do love the Duel 2. Blaine, like, landed for the win. I love that season, but yeah, I want to like anticipate and lead up to it for sure. That said, wait, what else do we have to talk about the episode? Because I have 10 more minutes and I want to get a little bit of juice out.
No, okay. I just took the time. I was like, how do we do this so quick? Like, it's like, it doesn't feel for an hour, but we have. Okay, so we get another clue. The clue is that they have to go and got to go and hit the nail on the head. They have to go to Georgia and go to Habitat for Humanity. and basically they had to help these people build a house with all these other, I don't know if they're teenagers or young adults, like first year university, build homes for people. And it's kind of like people that are in need, they also help to work to build a home that they get to live in. Have you ever done any kind of volunteer stuff like this before?
Not fully building houses, no. I've done some other volunteer stuff, but never like this. It was pretty cool.
I think I'd be interested in that because I don't really know anything about constructing things.
Yeah.
Like I've never really been a carpenter type thing. So it would be interesting to learn something like that a little bit.
Definitely. And I feel like there's a lot of like I have a lot of people in my family who, like, I have a cousin who works in construction, like people who build stuff, but I built some sets a little bit.
So after they do their day building, they kind of have kind of a motivational moment with the whole group where they had to choose a rock from the rubble and then talk about why they chose the rock and what it means to them, and show that when you drop the one rock in the water, that like the water is displaced. What did you take away from that whole little scene?
I don't know. It was just like a nice moment for them to like reflect on something, that there's like uniqueness in everything, that there can be a reason behind everything kind of stuff. But I mean, they're so young and like there's a, variety of different upbringings and stuff. So yeah, it was a random moment.
And Allison really didn't want to participate. And that's when I was kind of like, oh, I wish she was just more open to that, because I think that what they were asking for them to do wasn't that like, it's stuff that I like. I like self-reflection. I like people growing up and changing. And so I was interested in seeing both what she had to actually say, if she kind of looked in and be like, what does this mean to me? Blah, blah, blah. So hopefully, I can't remember what happens later down the season, but hopefully she starts to get a little bit more open to the reflection that I want to see from her.
Yeah, definitely.
There was a clue on the plaque. They got a plaque at the end the next day, I think it was. And they're going to Hotlanta. This is the hometown of Kit and Los. And so they're going to be seeing Kit's boyfriend, Andy. They basically get to Kit's family home, and Andy's a bore. We talked about him a little bit earlier on this episode.
They don't even hug or kiss or anything. She sees him and she's like, hi. Like, what? You haven't seen him for like a month at this point. Like, I'm so confused. Yeah, he's a bore. She stays there to talk to him, but we don't really get to see their full conversation yet. It kind of like ends with them like kind of together. Like maybe that conversation is going to happen in the next episode. Maybe she's just going to avoid it and whatever. I don't know for sure, but.
For sure. I don't know either. And then they go to Los's house. We didn't see any of Los's house. It was just like, oh no, they were sitting with the dad a little bit.
Yeah, the parents are nice. They were really welcoming for the most part, it seemed.
And so all I was trying to detect, I'm like, okay, so how did he learn how he is? Like what? And so I was just kind of looking for clues from the parents. I didn't really see any, but maybe we'll learn a little bit more about what kind of environment Los grew up in. I haven't. Yeah. So that's pretty much the 3 episodes. I enjoyed them all, but the main event here today is talking about some of the Challenge Season 36 tea. So what do you got for me, Michelle?
Okay, it's a 5-minute tea sesh. So the things that I've heard, I've been avoiding. Oh, hi. Love you, Wolf. Love the pic. That hair.
So hot in that pic. I'm like, babe.
No, his hair transition, like it's like he made this bold choice. He's like, I don't know, because for Wolf to change his hair, you don't understand. Like it's a big deal, and he's grown into it. He's like it's transformation. It's on point. Yeah. In terms of tea, in terms of like who's gotten eliminated, I've been purposely avoiding them. I did see who made like the first half of the game because I wanted to know a little bit, but I'm trying to hold back. But did you see that whole drama with Tori and Jordan where it was like everyone was saying that they broke up, that they had like whatever, unfollowed each other, that they like, because she was posting all these stories and she was with Jay, and they've obviously have, I guess, been eliminated. And I don't know when the season ended or whatever, but like they were together with other people partying and Jordan wasn't with them. And all this stuff, and it like became this whole crazy thing. And she made a post being like, people keep asking me questions and like I'm living my life now. 2020 has been a hard year, all this stuff. So it seems like they broke up. Literally the next day, she posts a story. He's pulling up and he's there. And she's like, oh, he's here, whatever. And then Jordan posts a pic of them together and says like, mom and dad leave home for like 5 minutes and everyone freaks out kind of thing. So it was all like not really a thing. But then even now she like doesn't post about him. So I don't know what's going on with their relationship. Something is like, you know, they're going through a stage. They're still together, I'm pretty sure, but like she hasn't been wearing his ring, but then people are like, oh, sometimes people don't wear the ring. So like, I don't know what their relationship is, but that's like a thing of tea. People are saying, did she cheat when she was on the season?
Seems like.
So I don't know. But they're kind of they're not in a full open thing, but like they've had threesomes, they've had things. So like maybe they have an understanding.
Blaine heard that CT didn't get along with 90% of the women. Really?
Yeah, I heard that there's drama with CT, and I've also heard that Leroy and Cam make a lot of enemies, and that makes me think that they do really well. So I'm thinking that like maybe they win stuff and they are able to like do stuff and people aren't happy. So like, I don't know, but I've heard some of that drama and that tea.
I don't know if this is true or not. I'm purposely been trying to avoid spoilers. There's this one person that I follow that I'm not friends, but she's a friend of the podcast. And like, you know, we were talking a lot about The Masked Singer. So I was like, I just started following her just to like hear what she had to say. And then she started posting like boot lists and stuff like that. I was like, whoa. Like, so I didn't register. I don't remember what it said, but I just remember like, oh my God, I have to turn off your notifications. Like I can't see what pops up for you. But then something else that she had sent popped up. And I don't know if it's true or not, but Amber from Big Brother, it looks like she said something and people were like, oh, congrats on winning your first season or something like that. And I was like, what? And so I don't know if that's true or that them just saying like getting on there and doing well or like.
She makes it far for sure because there was in the airport, there was an Instagram story of the airport and it's Casey in a wheelchair. Nani is there. Amber from Big Brother is there and Fessy is there. But it's like very openly on. They wouldn't be able to show that if it was like actually a spoiler, I don't think. But like it's them at an airport and Casey's kind of trolling and is like in her wheelchair and it's kind of like ha ha ha. So I don't know if something happens to Casey and she gets injured. But I think
Amber's partner.
Sorry?
Who is Amber's partner again?
I don't remember, but I do know they change a lot because they change based on the eliminations. So I forget who she starts with.
I feel like she might have been with CT or something. Like I mean, it's just what's like I was like, oh, I can't read this, whatever. And like,
yeah, I'm kind of trying to keep it under wraps, but I'm so fucking pumped for this season. The fact that it's partners, but there's you know, you can change the partners. The fact that there's only a limited amount of red skulls. The fact that like, I don't know. I think that I'm going to be really intrigued by this season. And even though I don't think it'll go 100% the way I want because it's kind of impossible. I'm excited about Teresa. I'm excited about not only Amber from Big Brother, but Amber from Are You the One? I love her. She's tiny little fierce queen. Like, I don't know. Maybe she'll get along with Nani. Maybe they'll have a romance. Who knows? Like, I feel like there's like a lot of like possibilities here. So I'm definitely excited for what's to come.
Yeah, with the Amber in like the comments or whatever, it seems as though maybe she was with Fessy at one point and they're like, oh, Fessy's a loser. And then maybe she like hooked up with CT or something. Like I didn't fully read it because I didn't want to know.
Because that's the other drama I'm hearing is CT and his wife are like not together. I'm so sad about it. If he's hooking up with fucking mid-20 people like that, like, come on. And you know how Amber is on Are You the One? Like, she's going to go for things. She doesn't care. Like, she'll hook up with whoever. He doesn't seem like her type, but who knows? And I love her. But, like, come on, CT. Like, you're 40 and you're on these shows. And I love you being on the show still. But you don't need to be doing these hookup things that you were doing 10 years ago. You don't need to do that anymore.
Though, when he's hurt, he lashes out by kind of getting with women, you know what I mean? So
yeah, we don't know all the details, so we can't make a judgment yet.
That's what he usually does, though. We know that when he breaks up with somebody or if he's having problems in his relationship, he finds a girl and hooks up with them. And it's usually someone that he's not interested in at all. So yeah, maybe that's why he's not getting along with some of the women, because maybe he was coming on to them, or like maybe he came on to them and then just didn't care about them, like, which is
Yeah, maybe he hooks up with one of them, like Amber, and then it's just like, no. And then maybe the other girls are like, what's wrong with CT? Like, he shouldn't be doing this. And then the people that do know him are like, from years, are like, CT, come on, man. But then other people are like, oh, yeah, I can totally see how that's going to be a thing. I can't wait for the drama. I do have to leave because it's 3:00.
Yeah.
But this has been an exciting episode, and I feel like we got on like 20 different tangents. So
I know, but like this is what it's all about. We're just talking about real tea. You know, learn a little bit about each other at the same time. Right? That's what makes it interesting. I don't need to just like talk about the show, which I love it, but like it's also to stimulate other conversations. So no worries with me. So obviously, thanks for chatting with me today, Michelle. If you guys haven't done so already, please subscribe right down over there. Help us get to 1,000 subscribers. Like this video so that, you know, more people can see it and help that YouTube algorithm ring that bell. So every time we go live, I generally try to go live at least once a day. So you'll be notified if you ring that bell. And Michelle, are you up to anything that people can follow you or whatnot? What's going on with you?
Oh, what's going on with me? Honestly, nothing exciting. Just working that grind right now. But I am doing some teaching. So if anyone needs some acting or vocal lessons on Zoom, you can hit me up if you want, I guess. So I'm doing a little bit of that, but otherwise, no, I'm just sort of keeping my head down, trying to make money for the holidays, because the theater scene, it ain't really killing it right now. So
Right? Oh my gosh.
Because
okay, I have something to talk to you about after too. Okay, perfect. Well, thanks for being here, Michelle. And Blaine, thanks for chatting with us. Obviously, we love hearing all your tea. You seem to know it all. Oh, see, yeah. Sorry, he said he did with Siobhan after DM. Exactly.
In the woods, they fucked. We know, we saw it. You're totally right.
Exactly.
Iconic.
So thank you, Blaine, for all your tea and your support here. And Mr. Wolf, thanks for hanging out with us as well.
Love you, Wolfie.
And we'll see you guys tomorrow for something. But next week for at least the next 3 episodes. Maybe we'll do a couple more because they're so short. But we'll let you know. See you then.